That's Erik Prince, Betsy DeVos's little brother, reportedly a former informal Trump advisor and a multimillionaire advocate of war for profit.
Would you be profiting from the war?
Well, we're not there now, but any vendor that solves that solution, that's capitalism. That's what it's about.
Prince made an excellent career move, being born in 1969 to an insanely wealthy family in the Dutch-inspired town of Holland, Michigan. Erik's father, Edgar, had a manufacturing business that hit it big with, among other products, a lighted car sun visor. After high school, Prince attended the U.S. Naval Academy before dropping out after 3 semesters. He graduated from Hillsdale College in 1992, having majored in economics. While at Hillsdale, Prince interned at the White House under George H.W. Bush, along with his sister, Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos. Prince attended Holland Christian High School. Prince went on to join the U.S. Navy, where he found the apparent need for private training facilities for special operations. He left in 1996 and inherited some of his father's $1.35 billion fortune. In his book, Civilian Warriors, Prince wrote, "My father had created an amazing enterprise. I was blessed to inherit a fortune. Now I had to use it wisely." With his new fortune, Prince, like most of us, would use his money to start a private contracting military service based in North Carolina. Blackwater Lodge and Training Center opened in 1997 and quickly turned into the most notorious and controversial privatized military contracting service of all time. Blackwater reportedly received more than $1 billion in U.S. government contracts, and Prince became the biggest of the State Department's 3 private security contractors and seemingly the most reckless. A 2007 investigation by the U.S. State Department found that Blackwater was overbilling the State Department by manipulating its personnel records. It also found that Blackwater guards were partying, drinking, and once even drunkenly crashed a $180,000 armored car. According to one of the investigators, they saw themselves as above the law.
Look, we employed thousands of people, and I would never say that the men were perfect. We didn't employ angels, we employed veterans.
But maybe Blackwater shouldn't have discriminated against angels, because in 2007, the worst happened.
You do admit that Blackwater personnel have shot and killed innocent civilians, don't you?
In 2007, Blackwater employees opened fire and killed 17 unarmed Iraqi civilians, including a 9-year-old boy. The incident became known as the Nasur Square Massacre. Blackwater claimed its guards were under attack and acted in self-defense. But the first U.S. soldiers to respond to the scene found no evidence of enemy activity, and the report said the shootings by Blackwater were a criminal event. 2 Iraqi police officers directing traffic in the square at the time back up the report. According to The Intercept, Blackwater whistleblowers alleged that Prince encouraged an environment in which Iraqis were killed for sport.
You were operating in a war zone, right? So the military in Iraq and Afghanistan, for example, had very strict rules of engagement. Did you follow them?
Sure.
In a sworn statement, one former Blackwater employee claimed Prince views himself as a Christian crusader, tasked with eliminating Muslims and the Islamic faith from the globe, and that Prince encouraged and rewarded the destruction of Iraqi life. If you don't believe that, take Prince's own words.
Which is true. I think if you refer to terrorists, you call them whatever you want. But you said these were the chanting barbarians American troops had been sent to liberate. You weren't sent to liberate terrorists. Sounds like you're talking about Iraqis.
Sir, look,
your words from your memory.
In a United States court, 3 Blackwater contractors were convicted on manslaughter charges. A 4th was found guilty of first-degree murder. The Nasur Square Massacre was far from the only case where Blackwater contractors, under Prince, acted unjustly. In 2005, it was reported that Blackwater guards fired off 70 rounds into an Iraqi's car. In 2006, witnesses said an Iraqi ambulance driver was killed by uncontrolled arms firing by Blackwater guards.
Did your people ever kill innocent civilians?
It's entirely possible.
After these atrocities, Blackwater rebranded and changed its name to Z, and then rebranded once more to Academy. But the name change wasn't enough to stop the seemingly consistent attacks on Prince, who sold a rebranded version of Blackwater in 2010. From Blackwater, Prince went on to run Frontier Services Group, a Hong Kong-based security and logistics firm.
Prince is back on the scene, and he's trying to sell President Trump on a private mercenary force for Afghanistan. Now, according to the Financial Times, CIA Director Mike Pompeo recently visited Afghanistan in part to consider Prince's proposal and how it could fit into U.S. strategy there.
Joining me now is Erik Prince, a former Navy SEAL, the founder of Blackwater, the former firm that had faced years of investigations for its role in Iraq. It no longer exists. He has now launched a new security organization, and he's pushing for the privatization of the war in Afghanistan. Mr. Prince, thank you. Thank you
Thanks for having
being
me.
here. What would be the advantages of privatizing, given all the objections from the Pentagon, from the State Department, from the rest of the military?
First of all, privatization is a loaded term, right?
Okay.
Right now there's 15,000 U.S. troops and another 30,000 contractors. All I need, my plan would say 2,000 U.S. Special Forces remain and about 6,000 contractors. So
the contracting group known as Academy, formerly known as ZAY Services or XE, formerly known as Blackwater USA, formerly known as Blackwater Worldwide. Yes, they change their name all the time because of video and negative publicity like these. These videos leaked by a former member of the contracting group show its members opening up their doors of their SUVs, driving down the streets of Baghdad, indiscriminately firing upon civilians with their AK-47s, running over cars with their Humvees, hitting people who are driving and obeying the rules of the road, running a female pedestrian over and not really even stopping or radioing in for help just because they can. And this contracting group has come down a lot in importance from when it was first used during the height of the Bush administration and its invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan. But it's still receiving hundreds of millions of dollars from the American taxpayer thanks to a $250 million contract by President Obama a couple years ago to continue its role in Afghanistan. And I think it's really important that as the US government continues to wind down its participation in Iraq and close down its participation in Afghanistan, that it relies less and less on these military contractors. Because using American citizens who work for a private corporation to do your fighting is still, in a sense, a continuation of war, even if they're not fighting in a US military uniform. If you are as disgusted as I was by these videos, help spread this message and let's make sure that these government contractors are defunded and go out of existence as soon as possible.